right, welcome to Real Estate Hustlers Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Appleman, founder and CEO of Appleman Capital. Today we're joined with Anna Tan. Anna is the co-founder of SuiteLifeMF, blending expertise in engineering, finance, and arts to revolutionize real estate. With 13 years of experience and a vast $100 million portfolio, they're redefining wealth building and commercial real estate. Anna, we appreciate you coming on the show today. If you could let the listeners know a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you for the opportunity. So my name is Anna Tan, and my husband and I have been in real estate for, like you said, 13 years. We actually have our day jobs. We have W-2s. We're engineers during the daytime, and at night, kind of like Batman, we have our quote unquote secret, not secret identities of doing real estate. We actually started in single family homes, residential properties. Learning to acquire, manage, self-manage, and do all the things and learning what you shouldn't do firsthand, making all the mistakes. Started doing that, and then several years later, we started jumping into multifamily. The reason why we wanted to do that because we wanted to be able to empower our friends and family and people within our network other real estate opportunities. Like there's many people that don't want to self-manage properties themselves, and they kind of want to just give the money, investment money to someone else that they trust and that they can, grow the wealth themselves. So that's why we started looking into commercial real estate, being able to scale and invite our network into those investment opportunities. And so we currently both syndicate multifamily, and we also manage single family homes, and we have engineers during the day and manage our family. So it's busy. So we're hustling.
There's certainly, it sounds like a lot of hats being worn for sure, especially maintaining your professional career and then maintaining your tenants with your portfolio. Also looking for new opportunities to invest in and bring your investors along with you. That's a lot. That's a lot to manage, and it sounds like you've got systems in place to help manage all the moving parts.
Mhm.
What got you into single family houses, and then what does that portfolio look like as far as did you renovate the units? Were they turnkey? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it was actually a wedding present from my parents. They've always were into real estate, but the way that they did it was very, DIY. We kind of figured it out on ourselves, and there wasn't a scalability to when they did that. But that was probably the best gift ever. They gifted us a house, and we had the option of renting it out, using it as an investment opportunity, or moving in ourselves. And we decided to stay with my mom, my parents, and we kind of made fun. We were made fun of for a few years by our friends. We're a married couple, and we were living with mom, and it wasn't as popular back in the day when that happened. But we decided to. We thought it was a good area, and we decided to renovate it a little bit and bring in tenants, and it was a real learning experience from that. And we were really young too, so we didn't have as much capital back then, and so I would say our growth in our single family homes was a lot slower. We DIY'd everything. My husband like grabbed his dad and they repaired the floors themselves. Like everything was just much slower, right, in a slower pace. But eventually, we tried doing wholesaling a little bit. We looked and we did do a fix and flip, but right now we have 9 properties. We utilize a virtual assistant to help us manage those properties, and I think it's been a real game changer for us to be able to be a little bit more hands off in the operations now that we've had our systems in place there. So that's been a really great, great, I'd say, business and learning experience for both of us.
Yeah, and it's not even really about the 9 units because I'm sure they're cash flowing, but they're not. It's not maybe a life-changing cash flow, but you've also got the asset on your balance sheet that enables
Mhm.
you to qualify for other opportunities as well, plus depreciation tax benefits. So it's not necessarily investing create financial freedom, it's those investments can create a lot of other bigger opportunities down the road as well for you.
Yeah, it
Definitely like
does.
that.
I would say it's more financial security because right now I'm home with I'm currently on maternity leave with our third
Nice.
daughter, and the idea of do I want to go back to work or do I just want to stay at home longer? And I'm taking almost a year off from work just to be home with the baby. But because of real estate, it has enabled us to give us that optionality of, but I would say financial security. Like I have the option of staying home longer with my child or maybe not going back to work at all. And so to me, that's where the power of real estate comes in, is it gives you options and you're not pigeonholed to, one job, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. And I liked how you had mentioned that other people, they don't necessarily want to operate the real estate. They want to invest into it, but they don't want to be a part of the operations because there's a huge responsibility when you get into rentals, is you have to maintain the property and make sure that the property is habitable. Plus, you don't want your investment to essentially just deteriorate from CapEx building up. Tell us what your experience has been when you started getting into commercial, and then how that kind of came about, where you even started to see opportunities and learn that strategy.
Yeah, so I think when we started with the single families, it really kind of enable us to learn about the business. I mean, everyone has jobs, and you kind of learn about it a different way. But when you own your own business or kind of view it that way, I think everything's a little different. Like everything's more on the line, everything's more important. You look into the numbers a little bit more deeper. And I think there's a deeper understanding of the finance, the debt structure, everything that you really need in a commercial environment. And we were able to translate those learnings into commercial. I know commercial real estate is a little bit different, but we're able to really translate a lot of the things that we already knew from single families into commercial. So I think that was great. Just like, how do you screen tenants, the basic operations of that part. What was different was, you're playing with bigger money, you're playing with more people that's involved in putting together a syndication, bigger loans, so everything was just scaled up bigger. And you definitely need a little bit more experience coming in from that. Like, everyone has different talents within the group, and being able to work with different people on specific things has been really beneficial. And so I think because of our previous experience with residentials, we understood what our strengths were, and we were able to kind of once we move forward to commercial, we would say, this is what we're really good at, this is what we want to do, and we're able to find partners and kind of fill in the gaps there.
So what led you to get into to larger syndications? Because there's always like I think the aha moment, and maybe it's a book, maybe it's a friend or a family member that said, "Hey, do you know anything about apartment investing?" What was the pivotal moment there?
Yeah. So my husband has actually had been looking at syndications for a really long time. But for me, I wasn't in a place that I really wanted to get into it. I wasn't ready. We had like our first child. It was just too much learning. I was like, I cannot learn anything new at the moment. But when I gave birth, after the birth of my second child, I was like, okay, we need to raise the game. Where else can we make money from? Because you only have 24 hours a day. We can't all focus on single families. Like for us, it just was too much. And so where else can we put our money in and invest and grow and that we trust, and we can still grow our wealth? And that was kind of the big idea initially. And so we started jumping into some passive investments, and we really liked the concept of being able to bring in other investors in. And so that's when we started doing it ourselves. And so it really started off as, we have additional cash, we need to find a place to park it, and we can't do it all on our own. Like, you only want to put so much money in the stocks, and it's really just about diversifying your portfolio. And in your, I guess, financial security. So that's
Yeah.
kind of what started it.
So you got started on a journey. You knew you wanted to get in apartment investing. So now you've got to find a deal or find an operator who's got a deal. So how did that
Mhm.
process go? Did you find other people in the network that were already operating?
Yeah. So my cousin actually started doing it. Actually, I have a couple cousins, and I started doing a little bit more research on what they do, and that's when we really started jumping in as the co-sponsor. Um, we started joining syndication groups and just started networking. I mean, there's a lot of groups. Once you really start looking into it, you can really find them through LinkedIn or Facebook groups or whatnot. But we joined an investing group and haven't looked back since. So
Yeah, I think that's the ticket is getting in the right rooms and then surrounding yourself with people who have the same goals and aspirations. Because then
mhm.
you're right. There's a lot of groups out there, but you don't know of these groups until you're actually looking for them. And then the deals are really done a large part behind closed doors. Um, you might see a deal come out on social that's a capital raise, but a lot of the good ones are done within a circle of investors that have invested alongside the operators before.
Mhm.
And their exclusive offerings, which you all are able to see those exclusive offerings because you put yourself in the right rooms. Um, where are you guys currently looking at for investments?
So we currently focus in Texas. So we actually live in Midland, Texas at the moment, but we focus our search in Dallas and Houston. And we've kind of looked a little bit locally where we live, but so those are kind of the main areas.
What is the has the market shifts? Have they created any kind of ripples in your all's area where you see occupancies levels dip or too much inventory for saturation?
I would say inventory continues to climb in Texas. I think it's kind of one of those, there's so much population growth, rent growth, and everything. All the builders kind of swarmed in several years ago, and so we are starting to see more properties, I guess, kind of finish their build out, and also because Texas is so huge, like the Dallas and Houston metropolitan areas, there's just so much that you can build out, right? But again, it's really sub-market specific. If you can find a great deal there, then that's where you want to focus in.
Yeah.
So depending on the sub-market, you may see rent growth still growing. So that's kind of where we want to focus in on. And having lived in Texas most of our lives, that's what we're pretty comfortable with.
Yeah, it's really important knowing the sub markets in any major MSA. That way you can see a path of progress before others, just having boots on the ground and
Mm-hmm.
identifying those deals before they get out there. So on syndications, you've got a GP general partnership and an LP limited partnership. LPs are made up of retail investors, but on a GP side, general partnership, what do you bring to the team, and what are you responsible for?
Yeah, so I'm actually really good at marketing. So my husband and I, we focus on marketing. So not only the presentations and kind of the communication to the investors, but also looking at how does the property management company bring in new leads? What does that look like? Do we bring in Google ads, Facebook ads? Like what source of external marketing are we using to generate leads? And so that's what we really focus in on, and it's been fun because that's such a dynamic area and kind of always evolving business. So it's always something new. We're always learning, like how do we use ChatGPT? Can we like what can we bring in AI to, facilitate new leads, or how do we understand the data? Like so that's been really fun for us. My husband's actually really good at, and what he really enjoys is the acquisition piece. So underwriting, understanding the MSAs, understand the depth, like, what's kind of the best way to structure something. So that's like his wheelhouse.
Yeah, the capital stack, the common equity. Everything goes into it, and everything kicks off a different return. And then, what do those returns look like? You can have Class A, Class B, Class
Mhm.
C shares. and each one can contribute uh, uh, part of the upside of the sale or refinance, or it just there's many different ways to engineer a deal, and the wrong way can certainly affect the deal negatively. Have
Mhm.
you seen any of your deals be affected with rising interest rates or operations?
So I would say that rising interest rates kind of affects all the deals either directly or indirectly, right? Um, Probably one of the biggest issues that we've seen is increases in insurance.
Yeah,
That has been a struggle. And so one of the things that we're doing in that space is, well, one, for the listeners that don't know, there's just a lot less insurance providers out there in the market now, whether for various reasons, but there's just less options. So less supply, higher costs. But one thing that we're trying to do is we're working with our property management company to see if we can do an umbrella policy with them and lower costs there. And so those are really long lead items. I think we've been in discussions with one of our PMs on that for over 18 months to try to sort that out. And so hopefully we'll see some relief there pretty soon. But that has been, I think, a real challenge across the board. And
yeah.
um, yeah,
And that's an expense that you can't underwrite, and you can't put an indicator out there 3 years down the road of an expectation on the expense increase, because it happens so quick and so fast. And there's certainly has got to be, because regardless, we require our tenants to have insurance as well, and then you've got insurance on top of insurance, top of insurance. It's like, and we don't make any claims. We don't need to make any
yeah.
claims. Typically, we don't want to. So it's a it's an expense that increases, but kind of like, where's the money going?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a requirement, and
Yeah,
I think at the time, maybe a couple years ago, I think we were kind of underwriting maybe 15-20% increase in insurance, and what we're really seeing is 30 to, I've heard up to like 70 or 80%,
yeah.
which is hard. That's really hard.
Yeah, we're in the Midwest, and but we're going through renewals right now as well, and we're seeing increases. And it comes to a point where you have to shop out your insurance broker too, and go out there to the marketplace and see what others can, how competitive it can be. Because um, anything else, it's called vendor creep. The longer you stay, the more expensive it can get with the same person. So. Um, Cool. So as a syndicator, what problems have you encountered, challenges, and then how have you overcome them?
And where do I start?
So it's an ever evolving learning lesson.
um, I would say so. Probably the most common one, which I've heard, I guess it wasn't surprised, but kind of surprising, is the amount of turnover within the office. And whether or not, whenever you take over a new property, whether or not you keep the people on site, I just feel like for all of the properties, there has just been so much turnovers, whether it's the leasing agents or the
Yeah.
maintenance staff. That's oh, I don't know. I was a little surprised at how difficult it is to keep good talent. And
Mhm.
I know a component of it is, pay, but, treating the staff right. But it's, I don't know. It was just a lot more difficult than I thought it would be.
But that whole the employment market, employee market has dramatically changed over the past 3 years, and it's always been a challenge finding skilled labor, skilled help. Um, but it becomes even more. It's become a lot more challenging, and um, we've got a model. It's more of an any weather model for employees, where it's part virtual, part here in the office. And that's done by purpose. I mean, there was a time where we had 52 employees, and it comes to where you're just managing and maintaining personalities around the office and the environment, versus at any weather where you're part virtual. You don't have that interaction where you have to maintain personalities and disputes and whatnot. But at the same time, you still need great people to keep the companies stood up. and the pillars of the organization where you can grow people around other people, it's becoming even more challenging. And I think it'll continue. I don't know where the people are going. I don't know if they're if they're doing. I don't know if they're doing creators now out there in the marketplace on TikTok, but they're going somewhere, and it's becoming challenged. So I totally agree with you. Um, what has been some wins that you've encountered? Some big wins and things that encourage you to keep doing what you're doing.
Um, I would say when the distributions go out and and you see your investor and they're like, wow, that property is doing great. And then that's it. Like no other questions, just they're just really happy with the progress of the project. So that's probably been really worthwhile to be able to to share that that win and the property success. So that makes it really worthwhile.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people understand that the general partners, they don't get paid until the hurdles are all met, until the
Yeah.
returns and the agreement are met. So a lot of times the GP is unpaid for years. The
Yes.
LPs are getting their preferred returns and getting their cash flow. They don't the GP until they meet certain return metrics and hurdles. It's all performance based. It's just hopefully it'll come one day. Um, a lot of LPs they don't know that part, and that's I think that's why I ask, because it can become disgruntling, because at first it's exciting, but when you're years into the project, and especially all of the commotion we're going through with today's market, it can be frustrating on some deals. Have you all experienced any of that?
Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree with you because as part of the sponsorship team, you're usually putting out the money first, right? For acquisitions and all of that, and then we put money alongside with our LPs as well, so we have money in the deal. So it does feel like we're just shelling out money and putting in a lot more work, and hopefully, like you said, at the end we'll get a nice return on
Yeah.
everyone. So it does feel like that. I think that's part of the reason why it's kind of nice that one of us is still working. It's just to kind of help help feed the baby, if you will.
Yeah. No, I totally. In real estate's a long play. It's slow, but it's got to be steady, and you're committed for the long term, not the short term gains. So, positive, sticking with it, that it'll pay off in the end. It's certainly a long game. Um, how do you gain confidence with investors if you're out there raising capital for a deal? How do you gain confidence with them?
So I think it starts with so a lot of our network is our coworkers or friends or family, and I think from a coworker perspective, they've seen how we work, at our W-2, how we approach different things, how we're analytical about it, and we approach any investment opportunity the same way. And so we have a record of how we've done it in single family homes, and then we're taking that to commercial real estate. And if we really believe in the deal, and it's a lot easier to bring in other investors in because we're putting our money alongside with them, right? So our money's on the line as well, and we're here to win. We're not here to lose. And so so that I think that kind of really helps portray why we would want them to join on the deal as well.
Yeah. There's a balance to everything, and if there's an alignment of interest which you all bring, then it boosts confidence, and everyone feels like they've got skin in the game for sure. Um, what's a good cap rate that you all are seeing to move forward on a buy right now?
So I think it depends on the class. So probably B and C somewhere. We're probably seeing somewhere between 5 to maybe 7 if it's um, depending on kind of the situation. So I think that's kind of where the cap rates are for Texas.
Yeah, they can. I think the settlement is definitely it's balancing out, because going into a deal negative leverage, that's as long as there's a great business plan and there's instant equity to be made on a value add. Uh, you got to make your money on the buy, and we've been very, very diligent. I know you all have too, as far as what you will move forward on. And I think buying on performa days are hopefully over, because that was there's definitely a lot of that happening, and we're starting to see that in the marketplace with different deals surfacing to market. Um,
Yeah,
Very cool.
I think the next year is going to be very interesting in terms of what comes on the market for, whatever reasons.
Yeah, no, I agree. We're certainly looking as well, and just keep on doing what we're doing, and try not to predict anything, but at the same time, just be vigilant and embrace an opportunity when one comes our way, for sure. One last question: how do you all evaluate your all expenses on the deals when you're underwriting?
So I guess in terms of expenses, there's, several line items, and you have to understand in that market what expense makes sense for that market. So just to elaborate, like, for a particular area that's maybe always 98, 99%, certain population, do you really need to spend a lot of money on marketing? Do you need to increase it, or do you kind of just stay flat? So that's kind of one, just to kind of understand what type of tenant base do you have. Is it, slow and steady, like everyone kind of brings in the family and friends, or is it more of a certain um, income stream? And then is it like, who is really dependent on the tenant base, right? Like if they're, I guess to kind of elaborate, if they're between 50 to 90,000, they're more likely to kind of leave and maybe purchase a home in the next year or two. So you kind of have to increase your marketing spend there, versus maybe slightly lower income stream, and they're kind of more of we like to stay put and not move. So you kind of have to understand that. I think for the uncontrollable expenses, it's just really talking to other syndicators and kind of seeing what they're doing in the area and what they're seeing. So, for insurance, maybe, I don't think 15% is reasonable anymore. You probably have to kind of be a little bit more conservative and say at least 30% or so. So I think you kind of have to do a little bit of research. You can get early indicators through that. So I think it's just really understanding the region, the submarket, and the area, and then, connecting with other syndicators in that area.
Yeah, I agree. And I know once you all take over a property, you're evaluating your budget versus actuals. So I think that's the fun part, is seeing what you projected in your underwriting versus what's actually happening, and if you're
Yeah.
off, where the off come from, is it positive, negative? So it's just, and it's an art and a science too, because you're predicting the future in a sense with your underwriting, but you're also putting in there what the historicals would represent. So it's there's
Yeah.
balance, but it's the fun part. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, learn more about yourself, possibly invest with you on the next deal, how can they reach out?
Yeah, so you can reach us at suitelifemf.com. That's SuiteLifeMF. Or you can contact me directly. It's Anna at suitelifemf.com. And we do have a PDF and a video to kind of, if you're new to syndication, we'll also share that on our website, and you're welcome to listen in and see what you think.
Awesome, Anna. Definitely appreciate your time today. Certainly look forward to following you, and we will talk soon.
All right. Thanks, Josh.